This is Mkomazi, the land I've lived in and loved for the past 18 years. It is also home to one of the most endangered species of the world, the East African black rhino. Solitary by nature with feeble eyesight, it has a handy temper. And they don't always recognize who their friends are. Okay guys, the bar is open. Up to now, they have been great survivors, and they have walked this earth for more than 50 million years. They haven't died out over competition for food or space. They have all been shot. And now this beautiful creature is on the brink of extinction. In 1978, there were at least 400 black rhinos in Mkomazi alone. 6 years later, there were none. I'm Tony Fitzjohn and I'm the Field Director of the George Adamson Trust. I'll be your tour guide through the Mkomazi Game Reserve projects. Working with animals has been my dream ever since I was a child. At the age of 22, just a couple of years ago, I first came to Africa, and it is here where I feel truly alive. I consider myself a very fortunate man, because the dreams came true and I've had the opportunity to do what I believe in and what I care about so much. I met up with George Adamson, who was rehabilitating lions back to the wild in a remote and magical part of north-central Kenya. Our work with the lions, and later leopards, and our close relationship with them to a great extent determines what I must do today. It was a time of both intense involvement and happiness on both sides. Sadly, all good things come to an end. I was beaten up and thrown out, and George was murdered by poachers. It was at this time I got an offer from the Tanzanian government to set up the Mkomazi Game Reserve. They wanted to secure a place where the endangered black rhino and African wild dog could find a safe haven. And although I am and will be a cat man forever, I didn't have to think twice. They just simply needed the most help. Welcome to Kisima, named after the spring behind the camp. This is our base, this is where we live, this is where our family's grown up. We have a house here, we have a separate eating area, mess and kitchen, store. Around the back we have a workshop and parking area for the vehicles. And we're completely self-contained. We have fuel tanks, we have backup generators to the solar power. And we have to be capable of handling everything here. Mashika here makes all the uniforms for the staff. Well, we've just bought some local material. This time we run out of camouflage. But he does a really good job knocking up the uniforms. Day after day there's uniforms, there's other repairs to do. We have to have this. People get through a lot of clothes here, a lot of boots, a lot of things, and we didn't have this, we'd just be spending a fortune on clothes. Hands over, keep it down your knees. Starter.
Starter na.
Oh, yes, this is the workshop, which is the heart of the operation here. Nothing happens in this reserve unless the vehicles are running and everything's happening. We found it cost-effective to keep these really old Land Rovers running, which are great for the bush. Without these guys fixing everything the whole time and running this oddball operation, nothing would happen. And you see projects in Africa that don't work, it's because the workshops run down. But the guys do a really great job, I must say. We slip up sometimes, but not very often. They're a good crowd. We've got about 52 people working now in every disciplines, from cooks to drivers to mechanics to plant operators to trackers to armed security people in the rhino sanctuary. Everything that goes to make up an operation like ours, everything that goes to make up the running of a modern-day game reserve or national park. The Mkomazi Game Reserve, now recently gazetted a national park, covers around 3,600 square kilometers. Inside the park we've built a rhino sanctuary with a la carte vegetation and thick bush, which makes it a perfect habitat for the rhino. Semu Palangio, the rhino sanctuary manager, looks out for the health and safety of the rhinos and all the other animals in the sanctuary. At this time of day, though, the rhinos are almost impossible to find. They must be hiding somewhere in the thick, shady bush. To protect the rhinos from poachers and to keep them from wandering off, we had to construct a 40-kilometer, 2.5-meter high electric fence, build guard posts, and train a security force. We also constantly patrol both the sanctuary and the reserve by foot, vehicles, and the aircraft. As well as the Black Rhino program, we also run a captive breeding and translocation program for the African wild dog. Decimated by diseases and poisoned by herdsmen protecting their cattle, they are also in danger of extinction. But with a lot of effort, we've set up an effective vaccination program and successful breeding packs. They're about 10 miles, about 16 kilometers from camp, on the Kenya border. And this is the first place they come to before we release them into the wild. And they're in this very simple boma for this compound here for about 2 months, so they can just get accustomed to where they are and the night sounds and program their GPSs and just get generally fed up. So when they're released, they're ready to go and they're ready to lead their own free and natural lives. You know. What we're doing with this group of dogs here is we've already got a radio collar on a female, and we're going to try and put a radio collar on the male now. And to do that, we have to sedate the dog. And again. Sema habari bwana.
Nzuri sana, habari za leo?
Safi. Wakati naruka saa hii,
Ndio.
naona pande ya super.
Ndio.
Naona kitu chini. Sijui kama naona binadamu,
Ndio.
lakini naona kitu kama Y, kitu na mstari kama straight. The George Adamson Trust supports many projects that benefit the local community. One of them is building or refurbishing secondary schools in the villages near Mkomazi. We are starting a program to educate the youth about their wildlife and habitats, so they have a better awareness of their inheritance and the importance of it all to them.
Habari za asubuhi. Sawa, nimekuja kutoka mradi wa faru. Niwachukue leo muende mkaone mradi na mkaone faru kwa lengo la kuwapa elimu ya mazingira ya wanyamapori. Ni sawa? Sawa.
Mkomazi literally means no water. So we try to manage the water supplies, however bad they may look, as best as we can. But we must supply water to the rhinos in the dry season, even if we can't do that every day. Sorry folks, dry bar today. At the end of this dry season, it looked as if the springs were drying up. I was pleasantly surprised today to see they had actually filled up. In the 18 years I've been here, I've only seen it like this two or three times. I mean, it's extraordinary. We haven't had that much rain this year, but somehow all this area has filled up. This is normally our water. There's a pipe in there that siphons it by gravity down to camp once we've started the process. But when I came here, this wasn't developed. It was all full of rocks and silt. But there was a little poacher's platform above the tree, which proved to me that, you know, where the guys would sit with their bows and arrows. And we eventually developed this one. But what we were looking for was this old colonial well that I'd heard about, that the British put in many years ago. And we couldn't find it because it was under 4 meters of soil. And we had to dig away like an archaeological dig to find it. This to us is magic. I haven't used my lorry now for a whole year. So it means the diesel that I would have put in getting water, I managed to put into the grader. But then the grader broke down. But then we have done that new diversion road with the JCB. So everything's a bit of a juggle, but this has really, really helped us.
Ni wapi
mitego tumepata sehemu hii. Na nyingine tumetoa kule nyuma yule mlima kule.
Na hapa bado mnaendelea nayo, bado ipo.
Hapa bado tunaendelea nayo kuiondoa. Bado tujamaliza kuondoa.
Na hakuna mnyama ambaye ameingia ndani.
Kwa mtego hapana.
Kwa hiyo ni kuanzia hapa.
Ni kuanzia hapa. Unaenda mpaka pale kwa yule mtu pale. Hii sehemu ameweka vitego.
When the spring dried up and the wells that we had drilled here didn't produce really, we were desperate. So at the advice of friends, we built this dam. It took about two and a half years, 4.3 men, and then people bring in rock the whole time. It's 2 stone walls with a concrete fill mixed by hand. But I got a feeling that it's leaking from the bottom where we sunk it, where we put it into the bedrock. But I need to bring machines here. I need to bring a lot of men here to dig this silt out, to fix the dam, and that needs quite a lot of money and time invested in it, you know. All the money that we get from Suzuki goes directly to projects. We discuss where it's going to go, whether it goes to the educational school, or whether it goes into the rhino sanctuary or extension of the rhino sanctuary. And I sit down and discuss with Suzuki what we want to do next. And it's great dealing with them, because you're dealing with businessmen. It's not like dealing with some wishy-washy organization that thinks that you're as wishy-washy as they are. But you know, saying this is what we need to do, this is what we think the outcome will be, and can we support that, you know.
Kutoka hapa ukiwa ndani unaweza ukaona hii milima unayoiona iko ndani ya ile fence niliyowaambia ya kilomita 45 za mraba. Fence imezunguka nyuma ya hii milima. Hii milima yote iko ndani. Kwa hiyo faru hawajui kwamba wamefungwa. Wao wako porini kabisa. Ila siku akitokea tu wamefika kwenye waya akakutana na shoti, ndio wanajua kwamba huku wakufai kwenda, lakini hajui kwamba amefungwa. Wangejua kwamba wamefungwa wasingezaa. Historia ya wanyama hawa ni kwamba akihisi kidogo usumbufu hazai. Lakini sasa unapoona wanaendelea wanazaa, ni kwamba wanajisikia vizuri kwamba wako kwenye eneo lao kabisa. Na huku katikati wamegawanya kitu wanaita home range au territory.
Labda bahati mbaya moto ukawa umetokea katika eneo husika ambalo labda wapo wale faru. Sasa inakuwaje? Ni kwamba wao watakimbia kwa ajili ya kujiokoa au watabaki tu hapo?
All dried and shriveled like this, it doesn't seem so obscene as the first day that I came here and she was just lying here dead. We could always recognize her by this chunk out of her ear and then taken off in the bush.
Is this a good friend?
Very good friend, you know, great lady. You know, big, tall, huge, live elephant I could feed by hand, and you know, it was this wonderful success story of an animal that had been in captivity all her life till the age of 27, and then came here and had her calf, and she shoved her calf off to this wild herd of males who accepted him very readily. But I was very, very upset. I've seen a lot of dead elephant in the 40 years I've been in Africa, and I was very upset when I first saw her, but now I guess she's just... her spirit's gone. This is really exciting, that after all this time of captive breeding, of having the animals in camp, moving them out here, we feel they're ready for release. They look completely different animals just out here running. Look at these guys running around, you know, posing on the rocks and jumping about and up on the hills. This is what I love to see. This freedom's what it's all about. First time he's been back on his own, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Isn't that great? And he's got a new friend, yeah? I'll have to give him some water, yeah? Mm-hmm. You wait here, yeah? Mm-hmm. I'll sneak around the back and open the water. This is great. This is... Especially after that awful sight this morning, this is wonderful. It's the first time that Johnny Wilkinson, the little calf, has come back since Nina, his mother's death. And he's got a friend. So the male that she pushed him off onto when she went to give birth to her second calf is keeping him company and looking after him, which is... It's nice to know that things sometimes work out in the natural world. They don't need the water. They're not desperate. You saw the water this morning. They don't need the water to drink. So more than anything, they just come back to say hello. It's the first time they both felt comfortable about coming back. Maybe they know we went down and paid our respects to Nina today. I don't know. Whew, I'm so happy to see them back. Clubs, isn't that nice? After all these years, this is such a wonderful sight. Only a few years ago, hundreds of rhinos roamed free. Our rhinos cost a small fortune. They had to be flown in from South Africa. It took 7 years for them to settle. It was like watching hair grow. But now they have 3 calves and 1 on the way, and a promise of more rhinos from Kenyan sanctuaries in the Czech Republic. But so much more has to be done for us to play our part in saving the species in Tanzania. We have to increase the size of the sanctuary to give the rhinos the space they need to roam and propagate. That means another 16 kilometers of fence line, new roads, extra outposts and personnel, plus running costs. Sometimes the odds look too great. It feels hopeless. So much has been lost, and to put it right, so much needs to be done. But we can do it. Not with endless rounds of seminars and conferences and 6-inch thick plans, but with hard work, dedication and education. We will do it, hand in hand. I'd like to say thank you for backing us. Thanks for understanding what we're doing here. Please keep up your support. I'm getting a bit carried away now with expansion, and there's a lot more that we've got to do. With your help, I can do it. Without it, I'm slipping back to square one again, and we don't want